I think it's a great topic for many reasons, because when someone is all in, they are committed. They are not thinking about what could be. They are focused on doing and executing the day-to-day things they need to do to get where they want to go. So I said a lot of things that entail what that is, but I think all in starts with beginning with the end in mind, knowing what you want for yourself, for your family, for your life, for your career, and truly then comparing that to where you are today and figuring out, okay, what changes do I need to make that enable me to fulfill my full potential? It is that mental state of coming to a place where you are not exactly happy with where you're at and saying, I will do whatever it takes right now, being the key words, right now, to get where I want to go.
Most of us never learned how to train our brains, which is why most of us needlessly settle, struggle, and worse, suffer. My name is Chris Doris, and I want to make brain training mainstream. This is my series, Tough Talks, Conversations on Mental Toughness. I'm interviewing badasses from all walks of life on what mental toughness means to them and their unique approaches to strengthening their minds. Hey everybody, welcome back to Tough Talks, Conversations on Mental Toughness. I'm your host, Chris Doris. And before we get to our guest today, I wanted to remind you that if you're not getting my daily dose of mental toughness tips in 30 seconds or less, delivered to your inbox every morning of the year at around 6 a.m. your local time. And if you're not getting my notifications of my new blog posts, which come out every Tuesday, and if you're not getting notifications of these Tough Talks podcast episodes, then I say let's fix that situation by going to ChristopherDoris.com/lists, L-I-S-T-S, ChristopherDoris.com/lists, name, email, click, and you get all the goodies. All right, so our guest today, I've known for a few years. His name is Ian Koniak. He's a sales badass, right? And he has, I think it was, well, he worked at Salesforce for almost 9 years, and he demolished it there. That's a good place to demolish it if you're going to demolish it. And he has since moved on. He is now a sales coach, a sales trainer, a speaker, right, and a prolific content creator. And we talked a couple times prior to this, deciding what do we want to focus upon, and he came to the conclusion that he's going to talk about something that I think is profoundly important, which is the ability to get all in, the ability and the power of becoming infinitely committed, and how becoming infinitely committed is an absolute game changer, and how it activates creative genius that would not be activated otherwise, and has you take the quality and quantity of immediacy of action that you would definitely not otherwise take, that leads to the creation of miracles. So I said, I'm down for that. I feel like that's pretty relevant to the Tough Talks tribe and content. And Ian's got an interesting history that he is not reluctant to share. He suffered from a bunch of addictions, and he got all in on turning that around. So I'm certain that he'll be bringing that up because it's very important to him and very relevant. And yeah, we're going to be talking about the mechanics. I'm going to interrogate him on how he became the #1 sales rep in the enterprise segment of at Salesforce after several years of having missed quota. So I really am looking forward to unpacking this with him. Meaning, like, so what did you do? Miss, and then got all in on being amazing. And let's open that up, and what were the mechanics of that, and how did that then lead to the very next year you being the #1 sales rep? And how is that relevant to all you guys? And you don't need to be in the world of sales for this to make sense. So Ian is here awaiting us. Let's go find him. Where are you, buddy? There he is. There he is right there. There he is. Ian Koniak, the man. What up,
What's
dog?
up, man? Great to see you live in the flesh again. It's
No
been a few
doubt.
months. Always,
Yeah.
always bring a smile to my face, Chris.
Likewise, man. Likewise. And I've been looking forward to this. Pardon me, I'm on the verge of a sneeze. Good timing. Love that. Everything's unfolding exactly as it should. Nothing needs to be anything other than exactly what it is. See that? Dropping mantras already. So I've been looking forward to this, man, because so I explained in the introduction your degree of badassery, like how you show up in life. And we had talked in preparation for this, actually quite a bit, because of how many different directions you and I could take a conversation in, because we are on parallel planes here, right? And what you settled on, what we settled on, is something that I cannot wait to hear you elaborate and unpack fully, which is this: all inness. The nature of being all in. Can you just start to explain to me what that even means to you?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's a great topic for many reasons because when someone is all in, they are committed. They are not thinking about what could be. They are focused on doing and executing the day-to-day things they need to do to get where they want to go. So I said a lot of things that entail what that is, but I think all in starts with beginning with the end in mind, knowing what you want for yourself, for your family, for your life, for your career, and truly then comparing that to where you are today and figuring out, okay, what changes do I need to make that enable me to fulfill my full potential? It is that mental state of coming to a place where you are not exactly happy with where you're at and saying, I will do whatever it takes right now, being the key words, right now to get where I want to go. And that's my simplest way to explain it.
So is that a state of mind? Is it a way of being? Is it both? Is it something else?
Oh, it's both. First, it's a state of mind. It's the mindset of being committed and not looking for motivation and not looking for day-to-day feelings of I need to, get my head straight. Your head is straight because you are committed.
So I'm going to play a little devil's advocate here. I'm not trying to make it difficult. I'm trying to make it really thorough. All right. For people and easier to understand and to put into practice. So is this something like that some people get, that some people have? Is it like an asset that some people are born with or a trait and others aren't?
I don't think so. I mean, I can only speak to my experience being all in. I can't say I'm all in every single day. I can tell you I show up every day and I do what I need to do, but I can't say I'm in this all in state every day. If I look at when I've truly been all in, where I will not fail, where failure is not an option, where success is predetermined because I know and I see exactly what I need to be doing and I'm doing it. And no matter what happens, I will be successful because I'm in that all in state, not because I'm attached to an outcome, but because I'm showing up and doing the things I need to do in the right state of mind. That is something I've had to manufacture and create for myself. And I've done it in periods of times when, frankly, bad shit has happened or bad things have happened in my life, which have required me to make some really, really fundamental changes to change my circumstance.
All right. We will get back to that. So let's talk about how, right? You said it's manufacturable. This we're describing. So to slow this down, right? We're describing a state of mind, which you've just defined in part as being infinitely committed. Right.
Yep. That's a great way to put it.
Mm-hmm. And well, that's how you put it. And you said it's a state of mind that you manufacture. It's an interesting word, right?
Yep.
I manufacture infinite commitment. How?
So I'm in this in the addiction recovery community.
Mm-hmm.
And in addiction recovery, we talk about something called rock bottom.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
So this isn't a tactic of so much how and here's what to do and everyone can get there. So much as it is that you have to be, in my mind, in my experience, which is my truth, you have to be in a place where you are absolutely 100% dead set on changing and making that change to whatever it is you're trying to change. So when anybody, I've been sober now for 19 months, and
Props.
I didn't just thank you, my friend. I didn't just choose to get sober from alcohol. I haven't gotten drunk in that period of time. I also cut off smoking pot. I cut off playing video games, gambling, pornography, social media, from apps on my phone, and every other thing that was really pulling me out of alignment. And this was a
Wait. I'm sorry. Everything that was pulling you out of what?
Alignment.
Thanks. I didn't hear the word pulling you out of alignment. I'll keep going. I want to hear what that is.
And I'll just elaborate what alignment is. Alignment is my identity being congruent with my actions I take every day. So I see myself in a certain light and my actions don't match that. Therefore, I'm out of alignment. That's the simplest definition I can give you.
I love that, actually, alignment. Because you think I have a car. When a car's wheels are out of alignment, its efficiency is tremendously compromised, right? And stuff breaks.
It's a great way to think about it. And that's what happens in your life. Shit breaks if you're out of alignment.
That's a cool analogy, man. Sounds like you accidentally hit a curb and now your wheels are out of time. It's no big deal, but you're out of alignment.
That's right.
And if you don't fix it, you're going to have this is going to escalate.
That's right. So getting back to my example of getting sober.
Yeah. I
won't go into all the details, but I hit a rock bottom where I nearly lost my family, and my wife was pregnant, and I had a 4-year-old son at the time. This is a year ago now. He's 5. And my wife had threatened to leave me and actually left me for a short amount of time. And at that point, when I hit my rock bottom, February 13th, 2020 was the exact date. I said, I don't care what it takes. I am never, ever, ever going to put her through this again in my life. And I am going to get the help I need. Now, I didn't know what the path was. I didn't know that I would go into therapy. I didn't know that I would get a sponsor. I didn't know that I would join a 12-step program. I didn't know any of this, but I knew in that moment, I would do whatever it takes to change and to get rid of these vices that were costing me my marriage and the woman I love. And it took me seeing her in pain and seeing her traumatized to get to that place. And that at that moment, I was all in on my own health and sobriety.
There's a lot there. So you didn't know how, but
That's
you
right.
decided that. That is so huge to me. So we got to talk about that for a second. You made this decision. Now I'm going to ask you. I made a note over here. Where you see me looking over there, it's because I'm making notes of questions I want to ask you. And I want to ask you about rock bottom, and is it necessary? Do we need rock bottom experiences in order to make this kind of level of commitment? And we'll get to that in a second, though, because I want to hear first about, you really caught my attention when you said, I didn't know how, I didn't know it was going to involve 12-step. I didn't know it was going to involve counseling. I didn't know it was going to involve this and that. But it didn't stop you from deciding that. If I'm hearing you correctly, do not let me put words in your mouth. Am I hearing you right? That you didn't know how it was going to work, but you decided that it's going to work.
I made a decision that I would do whatever it took to be the husband and the father that my family deserved in that moment. And that meant getting sober.
Well, okay. So you knew it meant getting sober, but you didn't know there was other question marks.
I didn't know how to get sober.
I
couldn't imagine. I mean, shit, if you would have told me 19 months ago that I, wouldn't have watched pornography or gotten drunk or smoked pot or played a video game or gambled or taken Adderall, which I was heavily hooked on at the time for work purposes, I would have said, you're fucking crazy. Pardon my language here. I would have said, there's no way.
You're safe here, bro.
There's no way this is going to happen. I can't even not get drunk, right? The fact is that that journey took me to a place where I decided to give up all of those things because they were no longer serving me in my greatest potential. I had no idea what the roadmap looked like. I had no idea what the steps entailed. I had no idea who I was going to talk to, but I knew that I was never going to do it again. And I was going to get the help I need and lean on people that did walk that path before me that could help me and show me the way.
So that's I'm certain that for some people watching and listening, that alone is a golden nugget takeaway, which is this, that you don't need to have all the questions answered before you can get infinitely committed. That's what I'm hearing you say.
That's right.
In fact, it's so powerful that we can get infinitely committed in the presence of all the unknowns. This is a big deal for me because I tell people in my work, the number one mistake that I observe people making in the pursuit of their dreams and the pursuit of excellence, you know what it is?
What's that?
Waiting.
Yep.
And you know what waiting for a million different reasons, right? Like waiting for a certain number of zeros in your bank account balance to feel like you are wealthy or financially even stable, waiting for a certain title before you feel confident, waiting for all kinds of shit. But you know what the number one source of waiting is in my experience?
What's that?
How, not knowing how. Feeling like I need to know how this is going to work before I proceed.
Yeah.
So before not even proceed, before I get infinitely committed is what you're saying.
I would add to that comfort, right? Just being a creature of habit, being comfortable and not having that catalyst to actually make that change. Right. Okay. So I don't know what you call that, not bad, wanting it bad enough, or just being comfortable with what you know maybe isn't ideal, but not.
Well, that's a perfect segue into the next question is, does it require extreme discomfort, i.e. rock bottom situations, in order to get infinitely committed?
I don't think so, but I think it helps. No. I think frankly, Tony Robbins says this, and I agree with it. It says change occurs when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of changing. And that's been the experience I've had in my life. If I look at all of the major changes I've made, like true changes, which have propelled me, I'll give you a couple examples, getting sober.
Before you give the examples, can you say that again? Say that again slowly, what Tony Robbins.
He says change occurs, or maybe change can only occur when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of changing.
Got it. That's helpful. That's cool.
Yeah. And that's been my experience. I was the former #1 account executive at Salesforce in the enterprise select division. And that year came after missing my quota 3 years in a row. And it was very similar to this getting sober, but instead of giving up, alcohol or drugs or whatnot, it was giving up these old habits and these old ways of selling, which simply weren't working. So I remember the moment that happened, it was the end of our fiscal year, the very last day. I thought I had a deal coming in that would have put me over plan, and it didn't come in. And at that moment, I had this splitting migraine, and I had tried so hard on my own, trying to figure it out and grind it. And I looked in the mirror, and I remember it was almost an out-of-body experience for me. It was like staring at this person and being so frustrated and upset with the splitting hangover of a migraine, or I don't know what you would call it, but it was very physical. It was like my ears were ringing. I looked at myself and I said, this is the most horrible feeling I've ever had. And I am so upset right now. And I just never want this feeling again. Very actually similar to what happened with my wife, never wanting the feeling of hurting her again. Yes, right. But I looked at myself and I was hurting at my performance, and I was hurting because I knew I wasn't, achieving the results that I was capable of achieving. And I said, I don't care what it takes. I am going to get the help I need to be the best salesperson in the world. And that was the year I finished #1. And that was actually the year I started investing in myself. I hired a coach. I joined a mastermind. I spent $25,000. Again, I didn't have the exact roadmap, but I had the willingness to get help. That's been a common denominator for me, is having mentors or coaches or people that have actually shown me the way, but I had to get myself in a place where I was willing to receive that help. And that for me required some pain to get there.
But it doesn't have to require it. And I want to get back to that because because I'd like to explore, how is all in, is being infinitely committed always available to us? You said, no, it's not necessary to have a rock bottom, but it's helpful, right? But it's probably still not even a guarantee. Delete, probably. It's so stupid. It's not a guarantee. You could have made multiple other choices that weren't as powerful in those moments, right?
That's right.
But again, going back to, and I feel like this is a point that was worthy of being hammered home, is you made a decision in the absence of the answer to how is this going to unfold. You can tell now, you just gave us some of the list of what did you do? What were the mechanics that resulted in you going from missing quota 3 years in a row to becoming the #1 salesperson in enterprise at Salesforce, which if people who are listening to this don't understand the magnitude of that, it's a big fucking deal. It's a huge deal.
Yeah. I went from making around 200 to 300K a year to averaging over 700K and clearing 7 figures 2 of the past 4 years. So just and that changed everything. That changed the house I was able to buy. That changed the lifestyle that I have. That changed my family security. So much came, but it started with that decision, that split second.
That's it. It started with the decision in the presence of unknowns.
That's right.
And then the decision drove you to go take the action that answered the questions. How are we going to make this happen? And you said you got coaching, right? What else did you do? Why were you able to go from missing quota 3 years in a row to the next year being #1?
There's a lot of things that I did, but one of the big things is, 2 things. Number one is I focused on executives. Right before I was playing small, I was playing at lower levels, departments. And I said, look, if Salesforce is truly a strategic partner for these clients and we can transform their businesses, I need to be speaking with the CEOs, the CFOs, the folks that are actually influencing and making change in their companies. And before I was very comfortable at that departmental project level. And I basically just started focusing on selling to power, selling and meeting with strategic executives. That was the first thing. And the second thing is how I showed up in those meetings. And this was a lot of a result of the coaching that I received in the training, is I showed up from a place of actually serving them. And whereas before I was focused on serving myself and my commissions, I started really trying to understand what they wanted, what the challenges were that were preventing them from getting there, and how I could help and support them. But it started with, my intention was not to sell a product or service. My intention was to learn about their business and try and help them achieve their wildest goals, and then use my company as a way to help them achieve those things. And I just started leveraging a lot more people at Salesforce. I brought in the team. I changed from more transactional to a more consultative sales approach. And it was a much longer, before I was going for those quick wins, trying to get the low hanging fruit. This was a much longer play, but it was actually led to multiple 7-figure deals. Whereas before most of my deals were 50 to 100K or so. Now I was closing $3-4 million deals. And so just kind of seeing myself as an equal to the executives and having the courage to approach them, I think was really key for me.
Thank you. So that's exactly what I was going to go back to. I want to hear the voices of the AEs right now, right, who might be skeptical about that and thinking that isn't a possibility, or maybe that's professionally inappropriate. What are the barriers in the minds of salespeople, right, that are not creating a relationship with the real influencers, the real decision makers? Why? Why weren't you? Speak for yourself. Why weren't you?
I think there's a lot of reasons, but I think the number one reason that I hear from most people, because I coach a lot of AEs now, and I felt this way before I started doing it, was they are afraid. They're afraid of many things. They're afraid of being shut down and getting rejected. They're afraid that they will have nothing. And this is the most common. They will have nothing of value to add to this executive. And that why would an executive who's the top of this big company sit down with a measly, lowly sales rep? And they have this image of themselves as not being able to provide or add value to senior leaders. And so they play in places where they do think they could add value at lower, smaller deal sizes. And I think that that's probably the number one factor is like, hey, what do I say to an executive? And that's all, again, things that you can work on and you can prepare for. And what I did to get those meetings and to actually overcome that was you're as successful as your preparation. So the amount of research I did on these executives before I ever met and on their companies and on their goals, when I came in with a point of view that I prepared. I came with thoughtful, meaningful questions. I had listened to interviews they've done or webinars or seminars or whatever I could find publicly so I could have thoughtful questions to ask. And the most important thing I did is I became interested in learning about them rather than interested in pitching my own products and services. And that is what opened them up and got them to actually want to start hearing from me and learning about my company. So there was so much you can do to get prepared before you ever walk in that door that simply people really don't spend the time on because they're looking for that quick win or that low hanging fruit versus putting in the real work of actually, spending time getting to a point of view in a place where they can add that value that they fear that they're not able to provide.
Do you happen to watch the TV show Ted Lasso?
I have heard of it. I saw the Emmy nominations, never actually seen it. I would love to. That's on my list.
Totally reminded me of that because there's an episode. There's a clip that I'm sharing actually in my coaching now with people with a ton of people from Salesforce and other companies that I'm working with as well. And the clip is called "Be Curious," and I'm going to include the link in the show notes here. It's just a few minutes long. It's brilliant. And it's about the value of being curious, of putting in the effort, of studying someone, being curious to study what can I know about this person, right? In order to bring them more value. You're also reminding me of a great book called The Go-Giver. I don't know if are you familiar with that book by?
It's been recommended a few times. I have a big
all right. Well, there's a couple of recommendations for you, brother.
Yeah.
The Go-Giver is by Bob Berg. I actually have it next to me because I just finished reading it and interviewing him as well. Bob Berg and John David Mann, The Go-Giver. You'll love it. You'll love it. You'll be using this in your coaching because you just described it, man, which is about, prioritizing, bringing value, studying the people who you're attempting to serve enough to even know, can I address their pains? Can I solve their problems? Right? Do I have a product that's relevant to them? So you know in advance. That's beautiful.
I was going to say be relevant. You just said relevant. Relevancy is the most important.
Be relevant. I love that. Be relevant.
If you're reaching out to executives, you need to be relevant. And the best way to be relevant is to study them and come in with a point of view on what you heard, what you found, and how you think you can help, and then sit back and let them open up and really dig deep, get curious, ask questions. Because what you might think going in may not be related, but the simple act of going in prepared with a point of view and having done that research, they will be so much more likely to open up and tell you what really is important and where you can help. And that's
because really, they feel your sincerity.
That's right. That's right. And no one does that in sales. I'm sorry, but nobody does that. They come in with the pitch and the canned, I shouldn't say nobody, very, very few people that I've run into and talked to and coached over 18 years of leading sales teams and, selling myself, spend that time to really, they'll look at the 10Ks, they'll look at the accounts and kind of what the company wants to do. But at the individual level, right? If you find to really go deep and try and find whatever people are saying publicly, interviews they've been in, conventions they've spoken at, keynotes they've delivered, to go and find that, to listen to it, to pull out what they said and to link it back to your product, prepare it with a thoughtful point of view, and then present that back is an approach that does take a lot of time and it's extremely impactful. And a lot of people just simply are running their day to day, doing what they know. And they just,
I don't have time for all that.
That's right. That's right. But
that's the belief. That's the belief, right?
Yeah. That's what I probably thought too. I was going for, who was in the market or people that were coming across my desk or emails that I was coming in. I wasn't doing
There's a really cool paradox in this, man.
What's that?
Slowing down to speed shit up.
Exactly.
You slowed down big time to take the time that you maybe thought you didn't have to study these folks so deeply and get clarity so that you could be relevant and then genuinely of service. So you'd speed up bigger sales.
When you get to power, it compresses the deal cycle, but you need to come in with a position that they're going to want to meet with you, talk to you, and open up to you. So you're absolutely right. The slowing down process is really something that in the high speed world of sales, many people simply don't make and make the time for and prioritize.
Because they are of the belief that they don't have that time.
Yeah. Or that it's not important, that it doesn't matter, that what's the point of this? I'm doing all this research or work, and they might not even take a meeting. But my approach was that they'll never take a meeting if you don't do this research and work and come in with a relevant message. So when I reached out to these executives, it was, I heard you here, you said this, I can help with this. Would you be open to a discussion? And the return on my emails and calls and messaging was very, very high. And I was able to secure meetings with CEOs, COOs, CFOs. And really, I think it's because it sounded different than what other people were, these guys get hundreds of incoming requests per week, and they have very, very limited time. So you really need to stand out versus blending in.
Be relevant. I love that phrase. Now, here's a question that I've got, because this feels really important. If you mapped out your methodology, right, to success in sales from like the third year where you missed quota, and then compared that to mapping out your methodology after you made your all-in, infinitely committed decision. And I don't know exactly what the decision was. What, by the way, was the decision? What did you decide?
Decision was, I will never miss plan again. And that was—
You'll never miss plan. Not only did you not miss plan, you became number one. So you actually over-delivered on your decision.
Yeah.
My decision wasn't, I'm going to be number one.
No, that wasn't my decision. My decision was, I'm never going to underachieve again. I'm never going to get this feeling because I'm capable of better than this. And then the decision later became and evolved to, I want to be number one to inspire others to basically do what I do as a normal guy who was kind of floundering, from below average to number one. It was a different decision later on.
Was there a human being in the world that gave you coaching or said, you need to get to the influencers? How did you make that shift in such a short period of time? Because I'm really interested in rapid transformational growth.
How did I make that shift? So it started with, it kind of happened like there's a lot of documents on this, and certainly I'm a believer of The Secret and, the universe helping, whatever your belief is. For me, it's God. Right. And for me, fundamentally, this has happened every time in my life where things come together to help me when I am infinitely committed to a goal. The universe conspires to help me. I get a lot of helping hands. So for me, it didn't start with, I have to go be with senior executives. It started with, I'm going to start focusing on being of service to everybody I meet with and work with. And, it started with me being of service to one of my clients and saying, I'm not here to sell. I just want to understand how you're using Salesforce today, what specifically your company is trying to solve for and achieve. And if Salesforce can help you, we'll show you how we can be part of that journey. And that led to a meeting with a gentleman at a company that was on my prospect list that brought in his, vice president of sales to meet with me. And at that point, this vice president of sales says, we are completely, we're getting our butt kicked, is what he said. It was a real estate company. He said, we're getting our butt kicked by Zillow. We're getting our butt kicked by Redfin and all these disruptors in real estate. And, we need to completely append how we're using technology now to help our agents. And he opened up quite a bit. Well, this executive then said, Ian, I don't need products yet. I need strategy help. I need you to help me with strategy and how to align my organization to be able to transform. Before we ever talk about how Salesforce products can help, do you have any resources for me? So I brought in somebody who I had worked with before, and I said, you know what, we might be able to help you. And it started with just adding value. And so he had this town hall he ended up getting promoted into a COO position, and he was running a town hall as his new COO or SVP of operations, I think was his title. And he basically said, I don't want to be the guy that says there's a new sheriff in town, I'm going to kick butt. I want to gain consensus. I want to, launch the strategy. Do you have any people that can help me prepare for this town hall? And so I brought in a strategist from our Ignite team, which is kind of our design thinking, our innovation group. And that strategist and I, in this executive, worked together on helping him with messaging for change management and transformation, and helped him literally put together this deck at his town hall. And that was in May of the year 2017 when I met him and I met him in March. So it started really by taking a step back and saying, I'm not here to sell you. I just want to learn your goals and bring you resources to help you achieve them. Mm-hmm. And that then evolved into doing this Ignite kind of transformation workshop with this team over a period of 3 or 4 months to fly around to understand their business. And that led to the deal. So it started with just helping with town hall meeting preparation.
Well, it started with a shift in you, right?
That's right. To add value first. First
of all, let's go to the origin point, because this is what I want to make sure people totally get this, the chronology here. It started with you saying, I'm never going to miss never again.
Yep.
Ever. That's where it all started. Then you had, and I love what you said. Have you ever read the book, The Alchemist?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, okay.
Pablo Coelho. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Because it's like the language, when you make that commitment, then the universe conspires to help you.
Law of attraction, baby. Law of attraction.
But the law of attraction falls short because it doesn't talk enough about action.
Yeah.
Right? This law of attraction. Maybe you disagree, but we don't need to even talk about it. It's like, get the intention, but it needs to be backed by action. And you obviously are an incredible action taker, right? So you made the call, you made the decision. I'm going to be amazing, or I'm being amazing. Then you led with service. That's a huge shift, man. That's a huge shift. Like, for you to be able to even say, I'm not trying to sell you anything yet. I'm not here to sell you shit. I'm here to learn, figure out stuff. For you to even say that in a way that's honest, right? Because that, when you bullshit, you can't fake that.
Yep.
Because that's just repulsive.
They have to know you care, and that shines through in the way you show up.
Right. Even with your vibe, right? The way they're feeling you, because you can tell the way your eyes are, even, the language that you're using. Does this guy really give a shit, or is he faking value? So that was a big shift in you, right? To lead with service.
Absolutely.
So you again, don't let me put words in your mouth, but this is how I'm hearing you. So fix it if it ain't right. You shifted away from prioritizing your profitability to letting that become symptomatic of your becoming a master of giving a shit about these people and bringing value when you knew you could.
That's right. That's right. I like to tell people, in order for you to have the success that you really, really want, you got to help other people get what they want. And that means caring more about their success than your commissions.
Wow. Right there, man. That's right. Caring more about their success than your commissions. That's totally a huge takeaway right there, man. Is that taught? Who teaches that? You. I'm
teaching it. Yeah. I haven't heard anyone say that. I do it in some keynotes and whatnot, but it's the truth. It's there's something called commission breath, which a lot of people talk about, and that's showing up. It's like you're reeking of commission breath.
I can't believe I have not heard that term yet.
Yeah. Look it up. There's a bunch of stuff. And this is the opposite. This is the polar opposite. It's when they know genuinely that you care because of your vibe, because of your questions, because of your research, then they tend to open up. And when you are genuinely, and the key word being genuinely interested in their success, it often means that your deal might be on hold, or your deal might not be at the front of the agenda, but their goals, their strategies, their challenges. And people just don't take the time to dig deep into understanding. If they tell you a goal, that's just one of 10 questions that you probably need to ask. Okay, well, what's your strategy to get there? What's your obstacles that are getting in the way? What does that goal mean to you personally? What does it mean to your company? How are we going to measure it? Literally, I mean, in just that degree of question and digging is showing people that you care. Then once you know what they want to do, okay, let's show you how we can help get you there faster, right? And that's the essence of what selling is. But unless you know where they want to go, you can't help them or provide them with a roadmap to get them there. And that's what caring about their success means, is taking the time to understand, what is success look like for them, and how can you help them, keywords being help them achieve that success.
Keywords being help them, right? Be curious in order to be relevant, right? So you can bring value and let your profitability, your commissions occur as a consequence.
It's
What a shift. What a huge shift, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge.
There are people out there teaching it, but probably that not the it's definitely not the norm. Like I mentioned the book, The Go-Giver by Bob Berg. And of course I've had some great coaches in the past, and one of them, his name is Steve Chandler. And he always said, and he didn't just say, he taught me that my bank account is the direct reflection of my level of service. But that's not the popular sales training, is it?
No.
No.
The popular,
You didn't have much hesitation on that one.
No. Build your pipeline, close a deal. It's a coaching problem. It's a culture problem. We can take this in a lot of different levels, but companies aren't necessarily encouraging that selling is service, and that your job is to make your client successful through the use of your products and services. That's the customer success division. That's the folks that are actually post sales. But the sales team, it's all about closing the deal, closing it now, and making it as big as possible. And that's where the focus is, and that's where the interest lies, which it is what it is. But I think that's part of the problem.
And it has proven successful.
That's
it's
right.
got enough, right? It creates enough good results.
It does. Fear works, right?
Yeah. Yeah, right.
To an extent.
Well, exactly, right. In comparison, it fails miserably, right? In comparison to enthusiasm, or the enthusiasm that comes from being able to solve someone's problems, to help somebody else's life be better.
It's a lot more fulfilling too. It's a lot more fulfilling knowing. That's why I quit Salesforce. It's because I find so much joy and fulfillment in helping coach and get people to a state where they truly are able to achieve their best results that they never thought was possible. And it's the same thing when selling. It's helping people believe in what their vision is and bringing it to life. And the best salespeople are the ones that actually can open that client up and, make them realize that, you do have to take responsibility and can determine your future if you make the changes, which you need to. So it's like, this applies to the personal level, but it also applies to how we position and get our clients to activate change within their companies.
So, well, you quit Salesforce, right? Because you're saying you love inspiring people, right? I mean, you're a coach now.
Yep.
Right. I mean, how do you do when you meet somebody for the first time and they say, "Hi, nice to meet you, Ian. What is it? What do you do?" What's your answer?
I say I'm a sales coach is what I would say. I mean, I do more than that. I do workshops, keynotes. There's all kinds of things that go along with it. But I would say I run a sales coaching business, and my role is to help sales reps get from good to great by focusing on habits, mindset, and skills, selling skills. That's probably
right. And so, which will make the experience so much more rewarding for them.
That's right.
And lucrative.
Yeah, it's a lot more fun.
Lucrative and
it's a lot more fun from a sales rep perspective to know you're making an impact, that you're actually changing lives of people that use your products or services.
Yeah.
I mean, as a coach, right? And I and other people, when you see people come to you and say, you know what, your videos, I've been making videos for a couple of years that are sales training videos. And when people say, this has helped me win this deal, or this changed my my approach entirely, or this helped me get sober in some cases, when I talk about addiction, it is truly fulfilling in a way that helping businesses transform, at least for me, it's even greater, and it can scale, and it's very exciting, because for me, it's not about teaching the selling skills, right? It's not about that. It's about helping people believe in themselves and achieve whatever their greatest potential is, knowing what I was doing before and where I was before and how that felt. And now how I feel on the other side when I've been all in and committed, and actually see a lot of this vision come to life now with the life that I'm living. I want that for more people, and I know it's possible, and I believe in them. So it's just rewarding in a different way.
That's beautiful. And it all comes back now full circle to being all in, making the decision. I don't know that we finished. Yeah, I guess we did, which is, it is not necessary to be in enormous amounts of pain or to have a rock bottom experience in order to get all in. It might be easier because the pain is stronger, but we may not need to wait for that.
I would add something to this. So I think a lot of people struggle with, how do I get to this all in state? Things are fine. Things are good. I've got a good life. I'm making good money, got everything I need. Why am I unhappy? What's missing? And what I'd say, if you're in that place where things are good, but you're not fulfilled or not great, you're capable of more, but you're not in a rock bottom state. I mean, for me, unfortunately, that's what it took for me to make these changes. But if you're in a place where you're not there and you still want to make this change and get to an all in state, I think one of the things you can do is just take a personal inventory and say, why am I not happy? How am I feeling on a day-to-day basis? And if you really feel like you're overwhelmed or always stressed or anxious, what is that costing me by staying in this place? What is that costing my health? What is that costing my family? How am I interacting with my loved ones? How do I feel about myself? Think about those things and really get angry and get to a place where you care enough to actually make the change that you need to make, whatever that is. So it doesn't need to be thrown in your face where your wife almost leads you to get to this place. It can be something that you, simply by taking the time and documenting, what am I unhappy about? What is the cost of each of these things? And what happens if I don't change? Let's fast forward 5 years, 10 years. What's that going to look like? And getting yourself to a place where you're really fed up and you're ready. I think unless you do that, it's going to be difficult to get. You can't just turn it on. You've got to look and say, why do I want to change in the first place? And what's it costing me? Back to that phrase of Tony Robbins, the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of changing. If you're not the father or the husband or the employee or the friend you need to be, right? Or the man of faith, if your faith is important to you, or, contributing, to the lives of others, whatever it is that's lacking, write it down, because it's your truth. It's going to be different for every single person listening to this. But if you're not in a place where you're 100% happy with where you are and you feel like you're not all in and you're annoyed by the fact that you're not achieving your potential, I think everyone does have that ability to get to that all-in state, but you need to actually spend the time asking yourself, why do I want to change right now? And what's the cost of staying the same? I think it's a great exercise.
Amen to that. What's the cost of not taking the action? What's the cost of staying the same? That's brilliant. Powerful stuff, brother. You're amazing. You're also incredibly prolific. You're pumping out content left and right. So I'm going to include links in the show notes, but why don't you tell folks right now where you would like them to go if they want to learn more about you or watch your videos and what you're up to.
Yeah. So you'd go to iankoniak.com. I am busy right now launching a new platform for sales AEs to receive online training and group coaching for strategic selling and enterprise selling. So if you are a software strategic account executive looking to get those skills to help you achieve greatness, check out iankoniak.com. If you just want to watch a lot of sales training videos, I have a YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/Ian Koniak. And
Ian Koniak, by the way, for those that aren't watching or reading the show notes, if you're listening on a podcast somewhere out on a run or whatever, Ian Koniak is IANKONIAK.
That's right. You got it. I'm impressed. Probably the best way to reach me is LinkedIn. So I put a lot of content on LinkedIn. Send me a DM if you want to chat about, your situation and where I can help. I'm happy to support you in whatever way I can. And my goal is to help up level the industry of sales by making it an industry of service and customer centricity versus me centricity and commission centricity. So appreciate everyone listening, and check out the site.
Yeah, definitely connect on LinkedIn, because you are very prolific there, very active. In fact, that's where you and I've been communicating lately.
Yep.
I'm going to go check out Commission Breath.
So I got something for you, Chris. I just thought of something. So you said the law of attraction doesn't work, and I was just writing it out.
I didn't say that. I said
you didn't. You said it falls short because there's no action.
Exactly. It doesn't emphasize
Which
action.
I agree with you, but I just looked at the word and it says attraction. So attract action. Action is the end of attraction. So without action, you will not attract what you want in the law of attraction.
Roger that.
Little
cool,
play on words there.
Yeah, which I love. That's cool, man. Well, I appreciate you, man. Thanks so much for sharing your experience. Also, I want to say thank you so much for sharing your vulnerability, bro, because that's very profound. It's very powerful, and it's courageous. Sharing your story. Vulnerability, I believe, is a characteristic of all the great leaders. So I appreciate your being willing to share your transparency or your vulnerability transparently with the Tough Talks tribe.
It's my pleasure, and that's what's most important to me, frankly, because if your personal life is in shambles, you're not going to get the results in your professional life that you need. And if you're neglecting your health or your relationships, it's going to influence what your results are at work. So you got to get your house in order, in order to be your best self. So that's been my focus for the past couple of years. And it's made all of the difference in breaking the cycle of addiction, which has been in my family. So that's probably what I'm most proud of right now, is that sobriety.
Props to you, brother. Congrats, man.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks so much for this.
You're welcome. Good to see you, man.
You too, bud. That's really cool. A lot of great nuggets there. A lot of mic drops and takeaways. His shift from missing quota 3 times. No, that's not even it. It's his shift from trying to get shit. That's what the shift was, right? Shifting from, as he called it, having commission breath, to prioritizing value. But it all started with a decision, right? That I'm not going to miss number ever again. So I don't care what the decision is about. What I care about is that it was a decision. And that we have the ability as humans to make a decision on something important to us, even in the absence of evidence of how it's going to work. In fact, not only even in the evidence, like especially in the absence of the evidence. Right? Like not waiting. So he did it with his sobriety or his addictions, right? And he did it with sales in reverse order. He did it chronologically in the reverse order. But he's got great stories, hasn't he? About, then the mechanics. So then you get all in. You get infinitely committed to being better. And then you take action and go figure out the hows. And then amazing things happen. And he just talked about, I'd love to be relevant. Take action right now. All in is manufacturable. You don't actually need to be at rock bottom in order to make these all in decisions. Doesn't hurt though. Might make it a little easier because of all the pain, right? The pain of not changing. And being curious, right? Being curious. I don't even know if I can sell anything. I don't know if I got anything for you. I'm not here to sell you. I'm here to learn about you. I'm here because I'm curious about your experience and if there's any value that I can bring to you. And starting with that, that's beautiful. And again, as I think I said in the introduction, you don't need to be in sales for this one to be relevant to your world. All right, well, I hope that you took a lot out of our conversation with Ian today. And as always, thanks so much for tuning into Tough Talks. And until next time, create miracles.